this is going to be useful for you for understanding why you don't get along with your partner in certain ways, for dealing with conflict between people that don't seem to see the world in the same way you do. And I know
Never have a problem with that.
Yeah, that's always easy. There's a lot of these types of ways that I've read in the past to understand it. This is definitely one of the better ones. So I was surprised that it took me so long to find it. Like, some people love Myers-Briggs. I haven't found that nearly as valuable as I think this will be. So it's based on the idea that people encounter problems when they're little, dealing with intense experiences. And because they are little, from ranging anywhere from like infant to just a few years old, they have very immature ways of dealing with it. They can't calmly sit you down and say, "Hey, mother, when you do this, I find it," and so they have this mounting frustration or energy, and how they deal with it determines the mode that they often go to in their life. So the ways are, number one is leaving, which is the sense of, there's a problem and I'm just gonna, there it is. Okay. I'm kind of out of here. And that's associated with people that don't feel they're often frail. They're not as connected with their bodies. And by the way, these, you don't necessarily just have one of these, but this tends to put you in a certain direction. That their feeling is that they don't feel like safe at all. And the only way to be safe is just to get the hell out of there.
Well,
so
they emotionally leave, so you can disconnect and they can just be like a zombie in front of you.
Yes.
Or they can physically leave.
Physically remove themselves, and they don't want to deal with any sort of,
heightened intensity. Confrontation. Yeah. A fight breaks out, they're out.
It's sad, or it's aggressive,
frozen.
It's whatever. And the freeze is also a very common thing, which is actually like, I've left the building. My body is here, but I've gone somewhere else. So that's one strategy. The other one is called merging. The idea of merging is that you, at some point in growing up, you had to attune to your caretakers so much because they were not reliable in the way that you needed them to be. So you needed to like very, very closely attune to them. Now, we all had this experience at one time or another because we were all literally merged with our mothers. We were inside of her at one point. But this isn't developed past this point in certain people. So there's two types of this. The first way is just pure merging, which is someone who, the way that they solve problems is by falling apart and getting weak and hoping that someone will save them or rescue them. He calls this, and I think that it's fair to say that this is sort of the most feminine pattern. These people, and by the way, all of these have gifts. Like, this person is probably very into connection and interpersonal relationships. They can gauge the feeling of everyone in a room. They're extremely attuned to what other people are feeling, because the only way to stay safe is in relationship with other people. You're not going to say, "Screw this, I don't need you guys, I'm out of here." You need to find a way to be copacetic with people. So like these tend to develop skills in people that can be very positive, but the downside of it is that when difficult things happen, they go into a posture energetically and physically of like, collapse. The motto of this type of person is, "I can't, it's too hard, I don't know what to do." And in that way of behaving like a very fragile thing, they call in other energies that love to be rescuing energies. That type of person.
Which is what?
Well, we'll get to that later.
Okay.
So then there's the flip side of this, which is compensated merging. Now, if you've heard that type, you'll know that is, especially outside of women, that is not like smiled upon in society. Falling apart is not, it's one of the least accepted strategies in our culture right now. So a way that people deal with this, when actually what they're doing is fall apart, is they flip the role and they become the caretaker to everyone else. So they're still totally attuned to everyone in the room, but when they feel cold in a room, they'll say, "Are you guys feeling cold? Are you guys, oh, you're cold? I'm going to get the AC." And the only way that they can start to help themselves is through helping other people. And this is like the mother that is smothering, because it's her need for connection that she's feeling and not the child's. And so she thinks he needs rescuing. He needs this. I have to get in there. I have to help him. Oh, I'm doing this all for him. This is your like standard long suffering. I've done everything for you, but it doesn't really feel like that when you're on the other side, and maybe you feel guilty about it. That's the compensated merger, which is they're very much tapped into your energy, but won't acknowledge that that's what's going on.
Interesting.
That like they'll be self-serving, but they're going to tell everyone constantly that they're serving other people, and they'll often convince other people that that's what they're doing. And again, these have gifts as well. They're extremely attuned. Are you hungry? Are you this? Is you that? But really what they're feeling is like, I'm nervous that you haven't noticed me or needed me in a while. And so this is the mother that can't let go of her child's need for her and doesn't struggles with the child separating and no longer needing her. This, of course, this can also happen in men. So yeah, that's the merging. Then the next one would be the enduring pattern. This is someone, and again, this can occur for any number of reasons. They're also based on skills that you sort of innately came here with. So, if you're really good at just emotional attunement from a very young age, merging is going to be easier for you. If you're really good at hunkering down and taking shit, enduring is going to be good for you. And the idea is that the enduring pattern is it's the one that you would imagine this prototypical man of few words, soldiers through it, shit happens around him. He's kind of like the mountain in the storm, doesn't really react, is slow to act, speak, or whatever, and just, the mountain.
And how can you tell the difference between that and like disconnection? Like the person who's frozen versus the mountain?
The person who is frozen, you will feel, this is part of it, a sense of groundedness with the person who is enduring. Like they're present. He talks about the body type of the enduring. It will often look very different than the leaving person because the enduring type still is in their body. They're just like grounding. They're sinking in. They're kind of energetically taking a squat position as they brace for things. The leaving person is, they're more likely to be thinner, not take as much care of their body, not feel any sort of hunger or any sort of that kind of stuff because they're so disconnected from their bodily sensation.
Got it.
And by the way, you can break any of these rules and have multiple ones running at different times in different sorts of things. One thing he doesn't say in the book that I see is that I notice the people in my life have one strategy that they tended to really use with mom and another strategy they tended to use with dad. And those tend to correlate to how they deal with men and women or like, the types of challenges their dad gave them versus the types of challenges their mom gave them in life.
Interesting.
And so the enduring type is someone who energetically, they send it down into the earth. They're someone who they didn't, at the time of they were developing, have the capacity to like outright fight their parents. So they become someone who might outwardly say yes, but will move really slow. They'll drag their feet. They self-sabotage. And the hallmark of them is they do not like to be pulled into other people's agendas. So like if you, and I feel this in myself.
Me too.
If you get like, yeah, like I'll sit here and you can rage all day at me and you could tell me that I should do this. And I go, okay, I'll think about it. What I mean is no fucking way. Never, ever, ever. I'm not even letting in what you said at all, but I can take your raging at me forever, because I can just hunker down. And so this type of person, there's gifts of this, which is they're grounded in a crisis. They're not the type that's going to freak out when things go bad. They can slow down and, find themselves. A difficulty for them is that if they detect anyone else's agenda, even if it's an agenda for them to get better, go to college, move on, heal, whatever, they're going to resist it because they don't know their own agenda. They only know that they don't want to do someone else's thing. And so they're defined by their resistance. And this is the self-sabotagey, and it might not even be obvious to them that they're self-sabotaging. I feel this in myself when sometimes in arguments where it's the feeling that I get when it's like I cannot concede at all, ever in this argument. The best way for you to influence me, though, is to state your argument and walk away from me. Because the more you push it, the harder I push back against you. And so the idea is if you're making a request of this type, and I feel this with you all the time, I have to say it and then leave it and not do it. But if I want to get a massage and I say, I want to go, let's get a massage, we should do it, you'll fight me harder. But if I say one time in the morning, yo, we should get a massage today, and then don't bother you, and then say at 3:00, do you want to go do that? You're way more likely to say yes than if I really want to.
Don't use your techniques against me.
I did this. I've known this for a long time.
How dare you?
I didn't need this book.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely feel the agenda. I felt it in work. Mm-hmm. If you've ever worked a job, Charlie.
I worked. What do you mean?
Remember?
I remember.
been some years, but the guys, we're gonna do it this way.
Yeah.
We're gonna have it done this way from the manager who has no fucking idea what the fuck is going on in the job. You know, we're gonna pick up the cups this way. Got it, 100%.
Yep. Yes, and it's yes, and which means no,
no way,
no way,
no way.
Yes, and it's
you haven't been here fucking 3 months.
Yes, and there's this passive aggressiveness sometimes, which is like I'm not gonna fight you, but I'm not gonna cave to you at all. The next type is aggressive, which is this is the person who in that same scenario would go, "You've only been here 3 months. Why the heck would I? No, that doesn't make it. They are gonna fight." Yeah. Because this is much more.
And they were all in this room, by the way. The aggressive spoke up with me sitting there and be like, got it, 100%.
So you're saying that like at this
It occurs. Yeah. Like we saw everyone speak up at this time.
The aggressive person went, why? This is dumb. And yeah.
No way.
And you just went, just say yes.
Say yes and not do it.
The aggressive type is the idea is that their energy comes up and out. I feel this all the time. And when I say energy, it's like, it's just this energy of combativeness that I'm very aware of in myself, which is if you push at me, I won't just resist you. I will like
force my agenda back at you.
I will push harder back at you, which is enduring is just like, you can crash against me all you want. I'm not going to push my agenda onto you ever. I'm not going to tell you, no, this is how we do the cups. You're just not moving me.
Yeah.
This is like, oh yeah? Well, you shouldn't even be manager, you know, like, and the idea of this type is that their personality is structured around a time where they did feel strong enough to win fights, and I won fights, you know, like, or at least they had enough internal resources that when they lost the fight, they didn't surrender. And so that was a big one for me. It's like I would lose fights with Dad in particular, like physically he could restrain me or, you know, tell me what to do. But there was a part of me that is like, I will never quit. Like I will. The resistance has just begun.
The Renaissance.
I will go underground. I will sabotage you at every, and you will know it is me that is doing it, and it will have my name on it. You know what I mean? And this is the different thing. Like the enduring pattern, you're not necessarily going to know that they're doing it. The aggressive pattern, you're going to know that they're fighting you.
Yeah. God, I can't just stop thinking that you've just been using the massage, saying it in the morning.
That's one example. I know that
I'm stuck there.
Fight everything.
Yes.
League of Legends, if I tell you to do something, you won't do it.
Yes.
You won't do it. Henry, go back. Henry, go back. Henry, they're going to get you. Henry, they're going to get you.
I've been actually doing better with that.
You've been doing better. Yeah. You can listen now a little bit. But literally, you will just walk forward and die.
Well, you know what's interesting? If we want to use me as a study case, I felt very more confrontational with my father than I did with other men. Mm-hmm. I think I would say I'm enduring with men, but confrontational with my dad.
Maybe.
Think about sports.
Yeah.
Like really bad.
Yes. And I think to say, this is where I disagree with him. He says that you have one primary and one backup, and I totally disagree. I think a better way to view this is through the lens of internal family systems therapy, which says we have multiple parts that are sort of frozen at different ages in our life.
Yeah.
And when you're in sports, you might be in aggressive mode. You know what I mean? Or when like, it's not sports. It's like that, the energy of that.
100%. Yes. And you just, 100%.
Is going to call that out in you. And so I see all of these at different times in my life. Like leaving for me, when I think of, you know, being abused, that was what I did. It's gone. It's no problem. Like that was, and that fight or flight, that's what I did at that point in my life.
Yeah.
And so that's the aggressive type. And again, there's advantages, disadvantages. It talks about them. They often coincided. That was the one that was closest to me. And then there's the rigid type. The rigid type is rather than merging types, which reference other people, what do you feel? So that will tell me what is safe for me to feel and what I feel. Or the aggressive type, which is like, what do I feel? Let me assert that in the world. The rules type is the rigid type is what do the rules say? And so they lack connection with themselves. You can think of somebody who was like raised in a very strict Catholic, you know, there's this watching presence of the rules, which could be hippie rules. It could be Catholic rules. It could be rules of being a real man. It could be something out there. But you got to follow these rules. And the way that they deal with people is they don't say, I'm going to take it from you or you need to give it to me. They say, the rules say you should give it to me, you know, and they often become very good at referencing the rules. These people tend to live, and I see this sometimes more in the past in myself, is that this type of person does not understand that there is a world outside of words. Like the way that they interact can be very surface level with words, where they want check boxes of how to like do things right, make you happy. And when they're unable to get check boxes and rubrics, and you say broader things than like, I just want you to understand me. I wish you could see me clear. Like that's very frustrating to a type that just wants like, I want a clear checkbox of like, I come home, I take off my coat, I give you a kiss.
Or think of school as if you're a young kid and it's like, I know my homework, versus like, today you're going to have to go do
creative writing and we're going to see how creative you are. It's like, no, I want to know 5 paragraphs and tell me, you know, like
how many words?
How
do I win at this?
How do I win? Yes.
How do I not lose?
How do I not lose? How do I not, because breaking the rules is a real fear of this particular type. Perfectionism is huge in this type. And because the rules are such this terrifying overlord, also there's an evasiveness and an inability to like own fit. Like the perfectionism can also lead to a hiding of one's weaknesses.
Faults. Yeah.
And in the, which is similar to the aggressive type, which is weaknesses are avoided for a different reason, which is that they just feel way too vulnerable. Like they're so
if
dangerous.
You're the master of the universe and you have some faults, it's no longer the master of the universe.
Yeah. So broadly, those are the 5 types. There's more that I could say. It's nearly 400 pages of book. There's more in there, but I thought that this was, it's been a very interesting way to, one lens through which to view various relationships in my life. And I think what it purports to do, that it does do, is it gives me an understanding for why I am unable to be understood by certain people. Because
it's a helpful roadmap.
Yes, to be like, oh, this person is they're very rules oriented. And when I say things to them like, dude, I just wish you could feel my heart. You know, like I wish you, like where's the checklist? There's no way to actualize that.